too, news that Britain's Army Chief says the country's ability to withstand attack is being eroded by lack of investment. Joining us from our central London studio, Conservative MP and military veteran, Johnny Mercer. Hi, Johnny. Thanks for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. Does he have a point?
I think he does have a point. Yeah, I think we are reaching a nexus in the relationship between the military and the country. Clearly, it's something people like me have been working on for some time. It's why I came into politics. I'm pleased to see it being discussed. But we need to, have a sort of mature conversation about what the future looks like. Yes, money is one answer, but it's certainly not all the answers. And as you can see from his comments, the nature of the threat is changing, and we have a duty to keep this country safe. That's
the point, though, isn't it? I mean, we made the comparison between us and Russia with the military hardware that we've got and the like, and it's not down to tanks anymore. Potentially aircraft, of course, and of course the nuclear deterrent and nuclear missiles that we might have. But we can't make the comparison between the military hardware that we did 40 years ago and what we do now.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's not really down to numbers, and I do hear this line of 2% being trotted out. It's not really to do with that either, actually. It's all about capabilities. It's what we can do, and the adversaries we're up against. We're part of NATO, which is a very strong alliance, but they expect things from us too. Things like amphibious warfare and so on. That was certainly on the list for getting reduced when the proposals were leaked a couple of weeks ago. So, look, I think we just need to have a mature national conversation about what this country wants from its military, what we can afford, what our commitments are going to be, because I still believe that there is a really positive future out there for Britain's military. We've seen this degrading over a period of time around money and so on. I think there is a positive future for the United Kingdom's military, particularly, around the growth areas like amphibious warfare, like cyber warfare and things like that. But we need someone to come out and articulate it. So I'm looking forward to hearing Chief of General Staff do so later on today.
But we shouldn't, again, we heard this from Alan Duncan, forgive me, he was saying that we shouldn't be considering ourselves in isolation as a little island anymore. We're part of NATO, and it's not just what we can do on our own, it's what we do as part of the greater organisation.
Well, he's absolutely right. We are a part of a broad set of alliances, but it's important that we fulfil our commitments within those alliances. So NATO do expect us to play a role, in amphibious warfare and things like that. And, we need to step up to the plate and deliver on those. What has been going around recently is concerning. But look, I do think that we have a very important role to play going forward, particularly post-Brexit. And I look forward to, yes, Chief of General Staff today, but further on down the line, the Prime Minister and Defence Secretary outlining what that is. I think there's a bright future, but we need to realise what it is.
How much does it irk you that young people don't seem to want to be members of our military anymore?
Trouble is, Kay, I don't really sort of buy into that. I think that, yes, there are clear issues around recruitment, okay, and there are issues around capita who are doing it. There are issues around retaining good soldiers who've been in the military for a long time. But all that stuff that the military offers, a career abroad, serving the country, away from home, adventure with your mates and all that, it is still there. I think that the water has become murky over certainly over the last 12 months when we've looked at budget constraints and we've looked at recruitment problems. But look, the fundamentals are still very strong in the military, and I'd love to see my children go through it. I still think it's the best career a young person can have, but we need to always work hard on that offer. And I can't defend, some of the stuff that goes on around housing, around how we look after people, around veterans' care has been in the news again over the weekend. We have much better to do. But look, the fundamentals don't change. We've just got to work a bit harder around the edges.
Final thought. I mean, it's not particularly motivating for young people coming through the system, though, or indeed those that are already in the system, when the main man is saying what he's likely to say at 5 o'clock.
Well, I think, I'll be interested to see what General Nick says later on. I think clearly he has a duty to those below him. Of course he does, to represent their voice. And that's what he does. The thing is with General Nick is that he is unbiddable, and he has the integrity to say what needs to be said. I think, certainly my generation going through the 2000s and the 2010s, going through those conflicts, we were certainly looking for a Chief of the General Staff to stand up for us and say we could and couldn't achieve certain things. So I've got no problem with him speaking out, and I think it's to be welcomed and we should listen to it.
Johnny Mercer, always good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for joining.